Welcome to Keyork Immigration Law. My name is Mary Keyork, immigration lawyer. Today I wanted to make a video about expectations with respect to making a refugee claim. We have a lot of people that contact our office asking us to apply for a refugee claim or getting advice as to whether or not they should apply for a refugee claim. And more often than not, I'm finding myself spending a lot of time explaining to clients how long it's going to take for anything to happen if they were going to go down that path. So if I determine that a client meets the eligibility requirement to have a strong case at the Refugee Protection Division to make a refugee claim because they have demonstrated that they have a risk in their home country, that the risk is direct and personal, they have the evidence to back this up, that the government in their home country is not able to protect them, and also that they have no IFA, internal flight alternative, then we will move forward in advising this client that yes, we can assist you in making this refugee claim. Now, what comes next is talking about expectations. So it's very important for clients to understand that, first of all, it will take our office at least 4, 5, sometimes 6 weeks to prepare the application to file the claim. A lot of times clients will think that, oh, it's just a matter of a simple form, just file it within a few days. It really does not work like that. And sometimes it will actually take us longer if the client is having difficulty in obtaining certain key documentation or certain key information. We cannot just simply complete the forms without properly thinking and strategizing, because there are some questions where the answers have to be true and correct. If not, it can have devastating consequences in the future. So that can take some time. Following that, once we submit the application, the refugee claim, eventually the client will be contacted by IRCC and CBSA in order to come in for an appointment so that the authorities can review the documentation and determine if this file will be referred to the RPD. That process can be a couple of months. Sometimes it could be 6 months, sometimes it could be 8 months. It's really important to know this part because during that time you have to make sure that the client stays in valid status. The client has to make sure that they have enough funds to survive in Canada, because during that time they will most likely not have a work permit. They'll also not have access to any benefits or healthcare coverage. So this is a really important aspect to know, because just because you're in Canada and you decided to make a claim, or just because you submitted the claim on the portal, doesn't mean that all of a sudden you will have access to everything. It could take many, many months until you have that appointment from the government. And as time goes by, we see that there's periods of time where there could be strange things that happen, and it could be even longer because there's a backlog or the government is simply not prioritizing. Following this, once we have submitted, once you have been referred, after your appointment, you will be referred to the RPD. Now that referral process can take many more months. Of course, during that time, because you had your appointment, you did your medical, they seized your passport, you're able to obtain a work permit, you're able to work, you're able to get certain benefits, you're able to get access to certain healthcare services. Then you wait for your hearing. Waiting for the hearing can take 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, a year. Sometimes it could take 2 years. It's very, very important to understand that during this time, you have to stay in Canada, you cannot leave. And of course, obviously, you cannot return to your home country where you're making a claim against. A lot of people think, oh, I'm just gonna make a claim, I'm gonna be approved, or even before I'm approved, I'm just gonna go back to my country because I have things to do there and I'm gonna come back. No, it doesn't work like that. And if you do that, you're probably not able to come back. You're probably not able to come back ever. And your application will be considered abandoned or refused, and it can have repercussions on your entire future immigration history in Canada. So now you're waiting for your hearing. Once your hearing is scheduled, ideally it's one hearing, but sometimes it could be 2 or 3. And those hearings, if one hearing is postponed or adjourned, it could be many, many months before we have another one. It's just the way the system works at the Refugee Protection Division. There's not a lot of board members, and there's not a lot of slots for us to be able to reschedule with them within a few days or a few weeks after the first hearing. Once the hearing is concluded, either one sitting, 2 or 3, then we have to wait for a decision. The decision is supposed to arrive within 30 or 60 days by email to us, counsel. However, more often than not, we now see that it's taking a little bit longer than that. Typically, it doesn't go longer than a couple of months, but it can. So now you're waiting for a decision. All this time, you are not a permanent resident. You're still a refugee claimant waiting. Then you get a decision. If it's approved, and hopefully it is, then you are considered a protected person. You have been approved your refugee claim. You're still not a permanent resident. Now we have to apply for permanent resident application, which is a complete different application. We have to complete a number of forms. We have to see if you're going to be sponsoring a spouse or children that are outside Canada that are going to be included in your application as dependents. Now, preparing this application can take a couple of weeks. Once we file it, this is the bad part, it could take 4, 5, 6, maybe longer years in order for these applications to be finalized, including yourself. This is very sad and very problematic because, a lot of our clients are already in a very difficult situation. They're already very stressed, and they're waiting here to bring their family, who often are still in the very difficult conditions. We have some rare cases where we have clients who get their permanent residence quite quickly, but to be honest, it's really, really rare to see that. It's really once in a blue moon. And sponsoring the family members outside Canada, I've been doing this for now 15, 16 years. I've never seen it happen in less than usually 4 or 5 years. So it's really important to really understand that when you're making a refugee claim, and if you have family outside Canada, that even if you don't have family outside Canada, even if it's just yourself, you're looking at a commitment and a process of at least, I would say, between 3 and 5 years or more to finally be able to become a permanent resident. That is, if you're approved your refugee claim. And once you become a permanent resident, you then have to wait another 3 years, this is the law currently, in order to apply to become a Canadian citizen. So we're, from the time that you enter Canada, that you decide you're going to do this, you're looking at about 10 years, more or less, to become a Canadian citizen. So it's really crucial that immigration lawyers, immigration consultants, and also the government of Canada and IRCC really has this information out there, because we're often faced with situations that even though we tell clients, our clients have minor children outside Canada, they have spouses that are alone raising these children, and they're just sick and tired and they just want to be reunited. But the information is somewhat out there. It's important to listen to it. Like, often I'll tell clients that it can take 5 to 10 years, but they'll be like, okay, no, it'll be, she said it could be maybe less than 5 years, maybe it'll be 3 years. And when the 3-year mark comes, I get these emails that say, okay, like, what's happening? I want to contest this. I want to sue. I want to do this. I want to do that. But there's nothing we can do. I mean, there's a lot of people waiting in the system, and we have to wait our turn. I mean, there's so much that we can do to follow up. So it's really important to have this information, know this information up front, so that you can make the right decision for you and your family. If you're outside Canada listening to this, or if you're in Canada listening to this, you have to decide, is Canada the best choice for me and my family? And if I go down this path, am I really going to struggle and wait and really be able to overcome this long processing time? Or I know that this is financially, emotionally, psychologically, this is going to be too difficult for me. Maybe I look at other options for myself and for my family. If you're in a situation where you're trying to figure out if this is the right path for you, and you really want to have the right information about processing times, don't hesitate to contact our office, because we know that this is a very delicate situation. Thank you.